What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Calhoun Show. This is up a couple weeks later than we said it was going to be, but that is because we live in the Northeast. And the last two times that me and Brett tried to sit down and do a podcast together, it snowed, and he couldn't make it. But he made it here today, even though it's snowing right now. We just finished up. We did an hour of, it was a blast. We always have a good time when Brett comes in. We talked NCAA hoops. We talked NFL, free agency, trade stuff, my Giants, what they're going to do with their number 2 pick, a lot of quarterback stuff, and then we closed up with, just the craziness of the NBA. Obviously, how good the Western Conference is, how good Harden, Paul, and the Rockets have been, the Warriors, and what we expect from them. It's always good fun when Brett comes in. Always enjoy it. Before we get going on that, all the particulars, as always, you can follow the show on Twitter at Calhoun Show and email the show at calhounshow@gmail.com. I will be back, I think, next week with another episode of the show. And if you miss me, you can always catch me on KCDC East versus West, a podcast I do with my good friend Dan Condi. It's the best podcast in the world, tied with this one. It's funnier than this one, though, because we are complete lunatics on that show. But this one is just sports talk, and like I said, I always have a blast when Brett comes in. So without any further ado, here he is. It's Brett Zanardi back on the Calhoun Show. Let's go. Oh my goodness. It's been way too long.
How long, man?
It's been way too long. We've been trying to do this for 2 weeks, but the snow has banged us two in a row.
Happy spring, I guess. On March 21st, we got another one coming.
It's starting right now. Like as the podcast ends, we'll look way different outside.
Unbelievable.
All right, this is your time of year.
This is it.
This is peak Brett Zanardi.
I love it.
This is Brett Zanardi, by the way. Hi.
Hey, how are you? How's everybody doing?
This is his time of year. It's March Madness. It's approaching NBA playoffs. It's approaching the NFL draft. These are the things we're going to talk about.
Does it get any better?
It's an amazing time.
Yeah.
So March Madness, obviously, we've had crazy upsets. Is this good or bad?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And I know I always say that's a great question because it makes me think for a second. I personally don't like it. I want Virginia in there. Now, is it cool that a 16 seed finally beat a 1?
Yeah.
For everybody that does the bracket, sure. I watched Virginia all year. They would beat that team 99 times out of 100, but that's the greatness of the March Madness bracket. If there was ever a team that I thought that it wouldn't happen to, it would be that Virginia team. Yeah. But they had a really huge injury that a lot of people aren't talking about.
I had them out in the Sweet 16 only because I heard about the injury. Yeah. Like that was the only thing I reacted to.
This dude, DeAndre Hunter, he's their 6th man. He's by far their top NBA prospect. Virginia, they got like the team chemistry. They got the defense. They got the guys that move the ball. They shoot good. They make free throws. They're just very fundamentally sound. They don't have
most of the time.
Yeah, they don't have 25, top 25 guys.
Yeah.
This guy Hunter goes down. It completely changes their team, and you just saw it right there in 40 minutes. They let a team that lost to Albany by 44 3 weeks before the tournament beat them, and they had only lost twice. They ran roughshod through the ACC tournament. I thought for sure they were good. I only had them going out in the Sweet 16 because I thought Arizona, who gets drilled by Buffalo the night before.
Yep.
I thought they were going to be there too. So that's just the bracket from hell.
What happened with Arizona? Was it all the stuff? Is that what it was?
See, I thought the stuff was going to be a motivation. The stuff ended up being, okay, we can't wait to get the heck out of here.
In hindsight, it kind of seems like it would be one or the other, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you saw how quickly Trier and Ayton, of course, he's going to be the number 1 or 2 pick.
Yeah.
They left. I don't even think they said goodbye. They pulled a Randy Edsel back in the day or a Paul Revere. See you later. And I think that really hurt him. And now Sean Miller, the Pitt job's open. He used to play at Pitt.
He said a couple hours ago that he's not a candidate.
Going to do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he says.
Yes.
Why? Because they won't hire him?
I don't know.
Well, they're trying to. That's a whole other conversation because UConn needs the guy that they're going for. So.
All right, so you mentioned Buffalo. Let's talk about other teams that have gotten better over the years, and you just mentioned UConn a couple times. Is the Rhode Island coach coming to UConn?
God, I hope so.
Yeah?
The other job he's open for is Pitt.
That's why, yeah.
So this is why this Sean Miller thing. So to get back to full circle to the Arizona question.
Yep.
You got Arizona. You got Tennessee with a huge meltdown. Loyola wins 2 games at the buzzer.
Yeah.
Really nice Cinderella story, but a legitimate team. They went into Florida at Florida in December and killed them. Mm-hmm. So everybody kind of had this team. They were a mid-major 11. That lets you know how good they are. Cincinnati just completely blows a 22-point lead to Nevada. Now, Nevada's solid.
That one hurt me.
They were ranked in the top 25 all year. They have Division I transfers, the Martin twins from NC State. They got Kendall Stevens from a really good, as you can see, a really good Purdue team. Mm-hmm. And the 2 teams that I thought were most alike in the entire tournament for 1 and 2 seeds were Cincinnati and Virginia. Because what they do is they struggle to score, but they will lock you up. So a 22-point lead for the Virginia and for Cincinnati, that's like having a 40-point lead.
It seems
it's like a good team that could run the ball in the NFL.
It seems like it should mesh well with what college basketball is too. Like it's just a bunch of scoring with kids that play together for a year. Yes. So you'd think the good, sound defensive teams would have the advantage.
No question about it. You're meshing all these young guys who were all stars on their team. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the one team in this region that has that, Kentucky, is still alive.
Of course.
It's Kentucky's. I mean, no offense to K-State, their best player, Dean Wade. He's supposed to come back. I'd be shocked if Kentucky doesn't come out of there, but what the hell do I know? I mean, that's just a crazy, crazy bracket.
Yeah, I think that's all X'd out on everybody's bracket.
Yeah.
That entire side.
It really is.
What Sweet 16 game are you most excited for?
Okay, so the one I really like is Nova, West Virginia. Okay, this is guard central. West Virginia, press Virginia, they're going to pick you up 40 minutes.
Yep.
It might be tough to pick up Jalen Brunson, who I think is the National Player of the Year. Not the best player in college, not the number 1 pick in college, but the most sound player, the most consistent player. Mm-hmm. He's got a top 10 pick in Mikal Bridges. They got 2 big guys down low in Spellman and Pascal, and then they have this wild card, DiVincenzo. Dante DiVincenzo, nice Irish guy.
It's a hell of a name,
Nice
dude.
Irish guy.
I love that name.
Who just comes in and lights everybody up. They shoot a ton of threes. West Virginia's got to score with them. I don't know if they could stop them as much. That's a really nice matchup.
West Virginia is one of the teams that I watched a few times, and it's all KCDC stuff betting against Dan, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I bet West Virginia a bunch of times this year, so I watched them a bunch. I like that team a lot.
You know what, to be honest, I think the 2 best matchups are in that one. Especially in terms of Sweet 16.
Purdue game being the other.
Yeah, Purdue loses their big man Haas. Mm-hmm. So now it becomes a big-time guard game. They got Carson Edwards against Keenan Evans. Is Keenan Evans for Texas Tech, is he healthy enough to go against Edwards?
Yeah.
Purdue is going to have to transform their game. They're going to start shooting a ton of threes. That's the backcourt region right there. And, you love guards in the NCAA tournament. As you move down, Kansas, Clemson. Clemson's had a really nice year. Yep. I actually have 3 out of 4 of these teams here. Kansas could get clipped because they don't have an inside presence, but not really many of these teams do. Mm-hmm. Okay, Clemson's got a bunch of no names who kind of felt disrespected. Their coach was on the hot seat. The AD sticks with the coach. Here they are. Could they pull the upset? Yes. Would I pick it? No.
That feels like Duke's to lose.
It does.
There. Like heavily.
It does.
Heavily Duke's to lose.
It's funny. Duke starts playing 2-3 zone, and they play Cuse, who rides the 2-3 zone. Of course, the 11 seed.
Awful to watch.
It really is tough. That Cuse Michigan State game set basketball back about 50 years.
But you had it, like I had it on like 5 minutes into the first half, and you're like, oh my, this is a Boeheim game. That's what it is. Like you just knew right away, and the next 35 minutes is just going to be dog shit, really.
Boeheim baited Izzo, and Izzo played his game, and they took a ton of threes, and they didn't make any. I'd be shocked if Syracuse beats Duke.
Oh, yeah.
They played 3 weeks ago. Yeah. I know they're all different teams. I know it's a neutral court. This was at Cameron. The final score was 60-44. Yeah. You hold Duke to 60 and you still lose by 16. That means your offense doesn't have enough to go against Duke. And then the last region would be the West. I'm not really surprised that Xavier's not there. I think Gonzaga is a better team than Florida State.
Okay.
Florida State got beat by Louisville, who just lost in the NIT.
Oops.
That's a game in the ACC. Michigan, Texas A&M, I think, is the second or third best matchup.
I like Michigan a lot.
I do too.
They scared the hell out of me.
Texas A&M, though, goes and just obliterates North Carolina.
Yeah, that was...
So A&M has has big-time athletes. This guy, Robert Williams, he's doing 360 dunks. He's on everybody's top 15. He's a lottery pick just on athleticism. They got a big man, Davis. They finally have a nice point guard. They're kind of rounding into shape at the right time. Them as a 7 seed, they were probably a top 15 preseason team. So anyone that is kind of picking it up now might think, oh, this is a 7 seed. They're coming through. That's a pick 'em game right there. So these Sweet 16 matchups are really, really awesome.
You mentioned the seed. You've got 2 7s, a 9, and 2 11s, right? Who's the most likely to make the Final Four? Who would be well? Let's go through them for people that don't have the bracket in front of them, right?
Yep.
So you've got Syracuse as an 11, and Loyola is an 11.
Syracuse at least likely for sure.
Okay.
K-State,
Florida. Loyola, the other 11, in an easier bracket, right? It's weaker now.
Yeah, if it's K-State versus Loyola, that would be shocking to me.
All-time weird
It would not
Elite
be
Eight matchup.
It would be shocking that that Kentucky loses tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I think Kentucky wins. The Loyola Nevada winner, they will have a shot to beat Kentucky.
That'll be a fun game too. If it's Loyola and Kentucky, that'd be great.
So right there, you could have a 7.
Okay, and then down in the West,
A&M at
the 7, and
if
Florida
you just
State's
rank
the
the
9.
teams and forget the matchups, A&M is the 7 or lower. I would say that's best
Most likely.
equipped to get to the finals, regardless of the matchup. They can beat Michigan, they could beat Gonzaga, and they can certainly beat Florida State.
What was your original Final Four?
The original Final Four that I had, I had 2 brackets.
Okay.
Everybody
has an A bracket, though. What's your good bracket?
Okay, the good bracket, I have Nova, Duke, Michigan, and I had Virginia.
Okay.
So I got 3 out of 4.
And your championship was?
Nova versus Michigan.
Okay.
And that was based a lot on Michigan in the Big Ten title game, but it was also based on the fact that I thought that they would get revenge against North Carolina because North Carolina killed Michigan in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Texas A&M scares me more than North Carolina does.
So you're worried about Michigan right now?
I don't know if they're going to make it there.
Yeah.
I think Villanova will make it there.
Yeah, I had Michigan in my Final Four, too.
Purdue with Haas could beat them. Now, if West Virginia beats Villanova, I'm not going to be here and be shocked.
Yeah.
The 2 shocks, by far, would be Kansas State. Actually, I'll give you 3. Kansas State over Kentucky, to me, would be a shock. Florida State over Gonzaga would be a slightly less shock.
Yep.
Syracuse over Duke would be the biggest shock in the Sweet 16, and by far.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because how the teams match up.
I agree. I told you right before we started that I picked Kansas and then watched them play, and I was like, oh, shit.
Well, it really is, and it's we say it every year. They wanted to find who the Kemba Walker was going to be this year. You've got all these guards. You've got Brunson from Villanova, and he's got help. You've got Carter, and he's got help with Miles. Evans at Texas Tech. Edwards at Purdue. Graham at Kansas. Allen and Duval at Duke. Michigan has a freshman guard who is tremendous. I'm blanking on his name right now. Loyola has a great backcourt. Kentucky started playing really good when this guy, Gilgeous Alexander.
Sure.
Shea Gilgeous Alexander. He's got a really long name. Sorry if I messed that up. But that's why they're there, so it's guard time. I think this is my favorite weekend. I like the upsets, I really do, but there's kind of too much going on. Right now, for the next 4 days, you got 2 games at 2 time slots. You just go through, you see some really good matchups.
Yeah.
I think we got potentially 4 classics. Loyola Nevada is like your mid-major dream. I think that's a toss-up game. They don't. What do they know about each other? They're just going to roll the ball out and play.
Yeah.
I know their coaches are good coaches. They're obviously going to scout them. That's a great one. Houston Duke, just because of the coaches, I don't expect that to be. Purdue Texas Tech, Villanova West Virginia, and Michigan Texas A&M are just fantastic games.
All right, let's go back to UMBC. The big thing this week is biggest upset ever, this kind of thing. You're obviously a gigantic March Madness fan, so you've been waiting for this. What was your reaction to it?
Okay, my reaction to it was, I cannot believe this is happening. Not only the team that was doing it, and the team that they were doing it to. Virginia, to me, was the most well-coached, sound team all year. I watched them go into Duke, and they didn't beat them down, but it was almost like a death by 1,000 cuts. It was just methodical. They walk the ball up if they have to. They could run. They could shoot. They could make free throws. They played defense. They grabbed rebounds. They were just so sound. Their 2 losses were at West Virginia, when West Virginia was top 10 in the country, and they lost at the buzzer to Virginia Tech. So 2 teams basically in their 2 states, Virginia and West Virginia, are their only 2 losses.
2 rival games.
And then the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, I don't even think they're the Golden Retrievers. They're just the Retrievers.
They're regular Retrievers.
Whatever regular Retrievers are.
Whatever
They go
is.
in there and they whoop their ass up and down the court. It was as shocking a thing as I had ever seen. Do I think it's the best upset? I think it's something we've never seen. I don't think it's really the best upset.
Yeah.
In terms of March Madness. I think the win by Villanova over Georgetown in 1985, that would qualify. I think NC State over Hakeem and Clyde, Phi Slamma Jamma, that would qualify.
Pretty good.
I know I'm a homer. UConn's run in 2014 with
Yeah,
Shabazz, that's a 6-game run.
7 seed? Was that what
7
they were?
seed.
Yep.
That's the second lowest to ever win.
It's nuts.
VCU was first 4 out, first 4 in game. They made it all the way to the.
That was a crazy run.
That was 2011. They made it all the way to the Final Four, and then Butler went back-to-back years as almost double-digit seeds as a mid-major.
I think we underrate Butler because of how good Brad Stevens is.
That's correct.
Is that fair?
Yes, and they had 2 pros in Gordon Hayward and Shelvin Mack on those teams.
But it's
yes.
it's like, because Brad Stevens was there, they had those guys, and they were that good.
If UMBC had beaten Kansas State and was playing Duke or Kentucky right now, this would be a whole different conversation.
Yeah,
I give them a lot of credit. You got to get me to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, that's fair.
Although they did become the first ever 16 seed to play in the round of 32, and they should be commended for that. And that dude, Jarius Lyles, is a player. He is a stud. He might get a look at the next level. I think he's a senior. Give them credit. They all stuck around. You know, a lot of kids that level, they graduate, transferred to high major programs. He stayed. They're going to win the SB for best upset this year.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I don't really care that Virginia's not in, but I would rather watch Virginia against Kentucky tomorrow night than Kansas State against Kentucky. I would rather watch UMBC against Kentucky than Kansas State. No offense, Kansas
UMBC,
State.
Oh, they got so. Oh my God, yeah. It was a bummer. It was a bummer turnaround.
It really was.
It really was.
That's the highest of high, and I didn't even watch a second of their second game. So if they're still in there, I think that's better.
All right, I'm gonna let you pick. Well, I was gonna ask you to reseed it, but you still have your championship game, and so do I. So we're both still in decent shape.
Yeah, I think Nova is probably top to bottom the best team left in the tournament. I think Duke would be a close second. I would put Kansas third, and that's only because Haas is out for Purdue.
I'm happy about that.
But I'm not sleeping on Texas Tech. And then there's a little cauldron of Kentucky, Gonzaga, Michigan, and I'll even throw A&M in there.
Yeah, I think,
and those guys are like the top
I
9,
think,
and then the rest there's a big drop off.
And let me ask, I think if West Virginia beat Villanova, they would probably vault to like second on the list.
If West Virginia beats Villanova, that opens it up for everyone.
Yeah,
that opens that
crazy
now
wide
it's
open.
Everyone's. I would put Villanova comfortably as number 1. Duke would be second, and then down the list. Not to repeat myself, just like that.
I got you.
But when you have a Loyola, a Nevada, an FSU, a K-State, a Cuse, that's 6 teams out of 16. So there's really a top 10, and then those other 6 guys are there.
That's fair.
Hey, and one of them is going to definitely play for the Final Four, which is just Nevada and Loyola are going to play in a regional final.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah, it is.
It's good.
It's really cool.
All right, I'm going to let you pick. Do you want to break from basketball and do football, or do you want to do NBA first and then close with the
let's do some football. I've been thinking about it.
Okay, so I did something today. I watched a bunch of quarterback highlights to get ready for this.
Okay.
To sit with you.
Okay.
Because I wanted to. I've watched here and there, and I've stayed completely indifferent because I've never been here before. As a 2-pick.
The last time it happened, who was it? What was his name?
It was Eli. It was Phillip Rivers technically, right?
Yeah.
So I watched a bunch of highlights. I watched all the pro day stuff. Obviously, Darnold didn't throw. The highlights, Darnold was like, I don't know. I was kind of okay with it. Rosen, I loved the highlights. I loved the highlights from Rosen.
Okay.
And Allen's arm is crazy.
Yes.
And then I watched Darnold today. He had his pro day.
Do you put Mayfield in this threesome, or do you want to just talk about these three?
because the Giants aren't going to draft Mayfield.
Okay, so
that's
this
why.
is strictly
I like
this
Mayfield.
is Giants based.
Yes, this is Giants based because you're a Cowboy fan. This is and you're a
absolutely.
college football fan.
Absolutely,
this works out good for me because I can pick your brain. So, and then I'm watching Sam Darnold in his pro day today, and it's pouring rain and super windy, and he is just cutting throws all over the place, sprinting around. I'm all in on all three of these guys. I don't care who it is. Who do you like the best?
To me, it's Darnold.
Okay.
And it's because when I think of the Meadowlands, it's funny. The two Meadowlands teams are picking 2 and 3.
I love that too.
And then Cleveland, it's not exactly a day at the beach there either.
No.
In my opinion, Darnold is the overall package. I think Rosen probably has the most talent. Allen has the most arm talent. Rosen has like the most.
His arm's silly.
Allen can throw it through a brick wall, but he also played at Wyoming. Now Carson Wentz played at North Dakota State, but Carson Wentz went and won, Division II, whatever it's called, FCS titles.
Yeah.
Allen played his bowl game in Boise. And he had a really good game. And it wasn't really, I remember watching it, on the blue turf. That's not exactly a day at the beach either.
No.
The one I like the least is Rosen. And the reason why is because of he's already got concussions.
Yeah, that's a factor.
And
2 of them last year.
He comes from a ton of money.
Yeah, that part doesn't bother me.
And he comes from UCLA. And I would trust USC quarterback over a UCLA quarterback.
Boy, I don't know if I would trust USC quarterback over any quarterback.
Well,
maybe neither of them. Maybe I wouldn't trust either school, but I wouldn't pick either over the other.
No, I wouldn't either. And I guess the school doesn't matter. I just prefer Darnold. He's big. He's strong.
Yeah.
He can move. He looks like a Roethlisberger to me, And as a guy who just rooted for a guy who never missed a start until his stupid ass coach took him out, you need a guy like that. And if Darnold's there and you're the Giants, you take him. Is he going to be there is the question. So what is Cleveland going to do? Because there's this wild card Saquon Barkley who might throw everything off if Cleveland takes him number 1.
So that's the weird thing about the Giants where they're sitting. They have a quarterback, right? He's healthy.
Sure.
He threw for 500 yards against the team that won the Super Bowl 3 months ago.
Sure did.
He's okay. He just needs a line and he
Carved
needs a
him
running.
up.
Yeah, he needs a line. He needs a running game, and he's not a top 15 quarterback, but he's okay.
Sure.
And worse quarterbacks have won Super Bowls, including him. So Barkley's an option, and that's a weird one for me because I've never had a running back like that.
No.
It's crazy what he is, how good he is and what he can do. But as a Giants fan, I don't think I want to ever be in the number 2 position again. Why don't we just get the quarterback and run out of here?
That's what I think. And if it's Darnold, it's a no-brainer to me.
Boomer Esiason says the same exact thing every day. Says Darnold, Giants quarterback, makes
it
1
does. But if Cleveland takes him, now you have a decision. Is somebody going to trade up for you to go and get the second guy and leapfrog the Jets, a.k.a. the Buffalo Bills or somebody like that?
The Bills are a
the
huge
Giants
wild card.
Actually are kind of in the driver's seat.
Huge.
They really
they
are.
have the best spot in the draft. I think
they do.
That Cleveland has the best spot in the draft.
Sure.
But they have the second best one for sure because they, like I said, they don't need a quarterback. And Buffalo has gone all in on getting one, and now they got cock-blocked by the Jets. The Jets, McCagnon was a genius with this. I hear
really
Jets.
good move.
You and I both listen to FAN all the time.
Of course, yeah.
And Jets fans are calling in saying McCagnon overreacted. Why is he doing this now? I'm like, this is way cheaper than it would have been on draft day.
Absolutely,
way cheaper.
And first of all, he had to do it because at number 6, who says you're not? Who says you're getting one of the 4? They might all be gone.
It could be 5 quarterbacks in Barkley.
Roll that dice.
5 quarterbacks in Barkley in the first.
So those
6.
are the 5 players that you wanted, and you're sitting there at number 6.
Yeah.
That would be a Jets move to not move up.
I love Rosen there. I think Allen, Darnold, Rosen, Barkley is the way it should go off. The Browns get out
Cleveland
with Allen and
likes
Barkley. Hey,
but does Cleveland think that they're okay? Here's the other one. Cleveland's got all 3 guys, and there's not that big of a deal. They take Barkley.
Yeah.
The next 2 take quarterbacks, and they just take the 3rd guy, and they're fine with it.
I think that what's funny is I think it would end up the exact same order, just flopping Allen and Barkley at 4 and 1. I think they'd end up with the same guys.
Because there's a part of me that thinks that if somehow one of the UCLA USC guy goes to the Giants, the other guy's going to the Jets, and it's just going to be the same thing in the same building, and they're going to be compared to each other for the rest of their careers. I could see that happening.
It could definitely
easily.
be that way. I think if the Browns go Darnold, the Giants are. I'm at like 50-50 that they would take Allen or Barkley. But I think if the Browns take either of those two guys, Darnold's going to be a Giant. It just makes sense. I don't know.
It does. They're right there.
Rosen to the Jets makes a ton of sense.
The thing with Barkley is, I've had Elliott for the last 2 years. His first year he was fantastic. This year he got in trouble, but when he was on the field he was amazing. Mm-hmm. They're saying Barkley is just like far and away better than him.
Yeah,
as a prospect,
yeah,
as good a running back or overall prospect as they've seen in a long time.
Yeah, the Adrian Peterson is like the last guy that got this hype.
Do the Giants now? Maybe you as a fan don't, but do the Giants with a new coach, a new GM, a new left tackle, your crazy man coming back, a couple other guys? Do they think that they're a player like Barkley away from going 2-15 to 11-5 and just making another Giants run?
Probably.
Yeah.
And it fits under the Giants mentality of it's always been best player available. No matter who it is, at what position,
sure has.
It's always been the best player available. Saquon
the last
Barkley,
time they picked number 2, they picked the best player available.
Yeah.
Lawrence Taylor.
Yes.
That worked out fine.
Saquon Barkley is the best player in this draft. So if he doesn't go number 1, he will be the best player available. And if you look at the Giants going into next year, you have to imagine, and this is the only thing I'm super confident about is that Gettleman's going to have an offensive line. Like that's what he does. He's never not had one. He knows how to build an offensive line.
So they lost Pugh. They got Solder. Who else?
So Flowers is going to the right tackle side.
Flowers
which is fine
should go
with
to
me.
1-800-Flowers.com.
I-74, right? That's what Lombardi calls him, I-74. I like Flowers still. He's like 23.
Okay.
He's going to go to the right side.
Can't give up on somebody that big and that athletic.
He's got great footwork. He's big, strong kid.
Get him out of left tackle.
He's going to be fine. I'm not worried about that. Fill in the interior with draft picks, whatever they have to do.
Yep.
Your skill position guys, if they draft Barkley, is Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, and Saquon Barkley. What?
And you didn't even say Marshall, who might come back.
He's not coming back.
Okay.
They're going to cut him. But what? Like, that's not that's absurd. That's Pittsburgh Steeler level talent.
Last year, all they had out of that group, including Marshall, was Ingram.
And he was
Ingram carried them.
And he was great. He was so good as a rookie.
Now he goes back to your third slot tight end option.
Yeah. But
how much more open is he going to be with those guys on the outside? And this guy is your check down?
Yeah, but the problem with that argument is that 2 years from now, your offense is Saquon Barkley, Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, and what at quarterback? Instead, you could have Sam Darnold now throwing to Odell Beckham and Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram.
Unless,
the
one wild card, the one, I heard him call him the Loch Ness Monster, unless they think Davis Webb is good.
Oh my God, that scares me. If they are all in on Davis Webb, it terrifies me. But if it worked, I mean, I'll build the Dave Gettleman statue myself. If he came in and was like, no, we're just going to take the running back because this kid's good. And he is actually good.
And Eli told him he had 2 or 3 more years left. Webb sits 2 more years and then just comes in as like the 3rd round stud.
I mean, all of the signs are pointing in the right direction. They got a quarterback-friendly head coach with a good playbook for Eli's play style. They have...
I like Shermer a lot.
I do too.
You can't judge him on that Brown stint.
No.
You can't
judge anybody in that building.
He just made Case Keenum the starting quarterback for John Elway's Broncos, okay? That's all you need to know.
He did do that.
That's Case Keenum, who couldn't play dead for Jeff Fisher. John Elway just went out and paid for Case Keenum.
Jeff Fisher resurrected as the Oakland Raiders head coach this year. Have you seen all the moves that they're making? I can't stand it. They're going to lose they're going to go 4-12.
You think so?
With Derek Carr, and it's just going to be an embarrassment. I don't know. I have no faith in the Raiders.
Dominic and Sue just canceled a meeting there or something.
He did. I love that.
And then how about my team? We're not making any moves.
We're
not making any moves.
That was the next sentence out of my mouth was, are the Cowboys going to get involved in the offseason at any point?
I just heard, and I honestly got pumped. Alan Hearns is taking a visit.
Okay, so
I would actually like Alan Hearns on the team, by the way.
Now, I heard this floated earlier today.
Okay.
Alan Hearns is visiting. if Alan Hearn signs, that might open the door for a potential cut that's been floated for a long time. How do you feel about your boy Des?
I'll bring the scissors.
Really? You're done? You're out?
I mean, if they keep him, I'll root for him. But if they got rid of him, I wouldn't be mad. What they're paying for him,
yeah, versus the production,
and he's not as bad as your boy, but the more than occasional headache.
Yeah.
You know, he's not doing the off the field stuff. His stuff is like the in-game yelling and screaming at the coaches and stuff like that. They don't need that. Mm-hmm. And the guy can't get separation. He can't get open. Witten, who's 100 years old, gets open more than him. Now, if Witten retires and then they cut him, now it's like, oh, geez, now what are we doing?
Now who are you throwing to? Here's the scenario I see, though. Mm-hmm. Pick a team that needs wide receiver. Let's say Arizona, right? Arizona needs wide receiver help.
Yeah, they just lost all
both
the
of
Browns.
their Browns.
All
yeah.
the Browns.
Both the Browns left.
Jaron and whatever.
John and Jaron, yeah. So they need wide receiver help. They have a great running back, Hall of Fame wide receiver, and and Sam Bradford, when he played last year, was really good.
Yeah,
he was really good. So if the Cowboys cut Des Bryant and he goes to Arizona, and you start the season 1-3, and Dak Prescott does not look that good, and Des Bryant has 35 catches for 420 yards and 4 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. That is a big problem because that's a possibility that Dak Prescott just does not know how to get Des Bryant the ball. Like, that's a real thing.
That is.
Like, that's terrifying. That's part of that could be part of the issue. Like, are you all in on Dak? Because as a Giants fan, he doesn't scare me.
No.
Kirk Cousins scared me that he was going to be in my division forever. Carson Wentz, that terrifies both of us. That dude's in our division for 10 years.
Have to tell
this sucks. But, like, Dak doesn't give me that.
No, Dak was a 4th-round pick for a reason. He's a nice quarterback. He's buoyed by a great offensive line. He had a Zeke Elliott, who everybody had no tape on him, and everybody had no tape on Dak. Dak had a nice year. Mm-hmm. It's not like they went 3-13. They were still 9-7.
Yeah, sure.
If they don't blow that Christmas Eve game to Seattle, they might have snuck in.
Could
have. He did okay. Did they beat the Eagles when the Eagles kind of weren't trying? Well, the Eagles, I guess you could say they were, but that was an ugly 6-0 game.
That was the worst. That game set football back. Yeah, right. Speaking of the Cuse game earlier.
Which made the Eagles run even more absurd. But
they have a 6-0 game with the Cowboys, and the Giants put up 500 yards on offense.
Yeah.
and they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and then the Patriots go even more. It's no, Dak Prescott, he's fine. He's okay. I want to see him a full year with Elliott. That's fine. Mm-hmm. If he was Troy Aikman ever Dan Marino? No, but he had a great offensive line. He had Michael Irvin and he had Emmitt Smith. So
you're looking at me. Was Eli ever a top 10 quarterback? He won 2 Super Bowls. I get it. I get it. Yeah.
So can Dak win? I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, he did go toe-to-toe with Rodgers 2 years ago as a rookie. And if his defense could have gotten a stop, or if they did a couple play calls a little differently, maybe he wins that game. He's got a chance to go to Atlanta. Does he get blown out as bad as Rodgers does in Atlanta? Who cares? So I kind of trying to be positive.
Yeah.
The Cowboys frustrate me more than, I don't like telling people that I am a fan. It's just fun because you're Giants, I'm Cowboys.
Yeah, absolutely.
They hate each other. I went to the game this year.
Nice.
I rooted my tail off for the Cowboys with all my Roger Staubach jersey on and everything. Me and my buddy that was a Cowboys fan. Of course, we had a great time. But, I'm kind of just wanting to wait and see. I almost kind of don't mind that Dez is still there, that they haven't really done anything. If they can just plug and play, give me a nice draft, we're good to go.
You guys going to draft a coach in the first round?
Jeez, that's the one big problem. I can't believe he's back.
I can't believe he's back. Him and Marvin Lewis.
The Clapper.
The Clapper. Yes, the Clapper.
The Clapper.
It's unbelievable.
He must have pictures of Jerry Jones, Jerry Jones' wife.
I think everybody's got pictures of Jerry Jones.
I think you're right.
He's got the worst ones.
I think Jerry likes it, though, that he's got them.
Well, Jerry just likes being in front of the cameras when all those fun things are going on.
That's exactly right. Marvin Lewis coming back is, it's not even worth our time, but that is just, it's just like as shocking as it gets.
Makes me happy. It makes me happy to know that we still have Marvin Lewis and Andy Dalton just doing their thing. They're still plugging away in Cincinnati.
I got a hypothetical for you.
Yeah.
How about if Sue goes to the Rams?
Yeah, good luck playing them. That's
possibly the best D-line and best secondary.
Minnesota's got that option too with him too.
Yeah.
Because they have a little cap space because they moved a couple guys.
Now, if you're Cousins, of course the money's great, but if they don't win the Super Bowl, I haven't seen Cousins do anything in the postseason. He's on a much better team. But remember, Shermer's not there either.
I'm going to apply some Shermer logic from earlier to Kirk Cousins now.
Okay.
You can't judge Shermer for what he did in Cleveland. I'm never going to judge a player for what they did with Dan Snyder in Washington. It's just he had nothing around him. When you played the Redskins, what were you afraid of?
Never anything.
Like Deshaun Jackson might get behind your safeties. It might happen.
And he's not
right.
there
Jordan
this year.
Jordan
Yeah.
Reed might stay healthy for the first 8 seconds of the game.
Yeah.
Like, what are you scared of?
The Cowboys were on a 3-game losing streak. The Redskins came in on a Thursday night, and they whooped their ass up and down the field. And honestly, Kirk Cousins was the only reason they were in the game.
Yes. Yeah, he was the only good part of a very bad team. And I think he's going to be great in Minnesota. I really do.
He's
The
got
problem is
everything around him.
here's the problem. This is the first time that the Packers are not the favorite in that division. And I think this might be the best Packers team in like 5 years that they just put together.
Well, yeah, Rodgers wasn't really healthy last year either.
Not at all.
That opened the door.
And now they've completely embraced Cobb. They've completely embraced Adams. They're moving on. Jimmy Graham was so underrated for how badly Seattle used him last year.
Yeah.
When they got him the ball, he scored touchdowns.
He still had 10 touchdowns. I only know that because he was on my fantasy winning team.
There you go. But like, I love what the Packers did. So I'd be a little wary if I was a Vikings fan because Kirk Cousins is a really good quarterback. He's still probably the third best one in that division. And the second best one's never won anything, right? With Stafford. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be happy about it. And I think they have the best roster, but
They do have the best roster.
yeah, that defense
With
is still
Cook
just
coming
as good.
back and Diggs, I would have liked for McKinnon to stay, but McKinnon wanted to get paid and he wanted to be a starting role. But if Murray comes back, now Cook becomes McKinnon, probably a better player. You got Diggs, you got Thielen, you got the tight end. That they're so good up front on both sides. Their defense is tremendous. You know, they're going to be right there. This NFC is just loaded. The NFC is just so by far and away better than the AFC. It's not even funny, especially if the Giants hit the draft right. If the Cowboys hit the draft right. If LA gets a couple other guys.
Dude, the Rams could be so good.
The team taking a step back is Seattle.
Done. I'm done. I'm so happy.
Me too.
I've been waiting.
Can't stand
I've been
it.
waiting for years for Seattle to go
Yep.
away. I'm done. Pete Carroll's kind of fun. I can't stand Russell Wilson with any ounce of me.
San Francisco's on their way up, and it's not because of Richard Sherman.
So fast,
It's because of Jimmy.
They're gonna be real.
They're gonna be
Condi's
right
a big
there.
Niner fan.
Oh, okay.
So
he's all over it.
Yeah, loves
he's
the
all over
Niners.
it.
Loves the Niners.
I mean,
right now.
that NFC really from top to bottom. You gotta if you like what you know what I liked the Bears made some really nice moves.
Yeah, I don't
Allen
hate what the Bears
Robinson,
have done.
Trey Burton.
Do you know anything about the coach Nagy?
They love him in KC. I
Yeah.
mean, like an offensive guru. That is here. We want you. Do you like Trubisky? Trubisky, do you like him? Boom, here you go.
Yeah.
Young guy. I think teams are going that way. They saw what McVay did in LA.
Actually got some receivers
which
for
makes
him.
me sick that the Cowboys still hung on to this doofus that doesn't do anything. He's got a fanny pack on. That's the only part I don't like about the team, to be honest.
Yeah. All right. My number one thing I'm most excited for is Pat Mahomes.
Okay.
Because everything, like they were like, oh,
They
you
reloaded.
guys want Alex Smith, huh? Okay,
Yeah.
that's totally fine. Because
That's such a Washington move, too.
Oh yeah.
fun.
How great was that when you saw that the Washington? You're like Washington trades for top quarterback, and you're like, which one? Alex Smith's like, oh.
Alex Smith just
Cool.
had his 5 best years of his career.
Yeah, dude, Alex Smith is a really good quarterback. He's not going to win a Super Bowl.
He's not even as good as Cousins.
No. That's a downgrade, big downgrade for them. But like Mahomes, Smith is really good,
Yep.
and like you just said, he just had his best 5 years, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna go? Yeah, bye. That's fine. See ya. We got this kid. He's ready. Like he might be
And they
got weapons, just
They did.
everywhere.
As long as Sammy Watkins doesn't have to be a number one, I think he could be good. Would I have paid that much for him? He's never there. But
Yeah.
you talk about the big four that the Giants could have. KC's already got it.
Yes, they do.
Hunt,
Yep.
Kelsey,
Hill.
Watkins, and Hill could blow the top off of any defense.
Mm-hmm.
If they can plug, they got rid of Holly, they got rid of some of their old defensive guys. The only thing that scares you is Andy Reid going to blow it like he does every year and like he did against Tennessee, which they should have never lost that game in their life.
I have the answer to that.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, you will. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, the draft, the free agency right now is awesome. The draft is going to be really, really interesting. I mean, we're talking about the NFC. We didn't even mention the Saints. They go all the way up to a Hail Mary away from playing at Philly. In that, actually, they would have played at Philly.
At Philly, yeah.
Because they had such a great draft with Kamara and Claiborne and
the linemen in the second.
linemen. Yeah. I mean, they just hit on everything. So whoever can do that this year, you get 3 out of 7 guys that are that good. I mean, Kamara was easy offensive rookie of the year.
Oh, yeah.
He's coming back with Ingram and Breeze, obviously, again. Thomas on the outside. Maybe they've got to shore up the tight end. I don't know if they have done that yet. But, basically my point is the draft really will tell you. I think that's going to tell you more about any team than free agency will. Especially for you guys.
The draft, it's so big. My pocket dream scenario, aside from getting the quarterback that's the future of the team, is the Giants trade back to like 6 if the Colts wanted to drop again, right?
Because the Colts need more than any team in the league. I think they have the worst they might have the most talented quarterback outside of Aaron Rodgers and the worst roster in the league.
Yeah.
Easily.
So if the Colts trade down, or
which they could,
or Denver wants to come up, right? Because Denver's going to get a quarterback.
Denver likes the guy more than the Jets, or maybe they do.
Maybe they do.
Yeah.
If the Giants got a haul but stayed in that top 6 range, which is possible with Denver sitting there wanting to move up and Buffalo wanting to come up too.
Yeah.
They could walk away with Barkley and a host of draft picks. That would be nuts. That would be the craziest outcome for the Giants.
But you'd have to think that those 4 teams would take quarterbacks.
Well, in that scenario, you have Cleveland is your only problem. That's the only one. So, but Cleveland's 4th pick.
Even if the Giants,
the only way that works is if Buffalo or Denver or somebody trades into Cleveland's
spot with the
into
4th.
one of Cleveland's pick first. Yeah. But it's possible because then you could legit see it go Allen, Darnold, Rosen, Mayfield, and then the Giants could sit at 5 and have a shit ton of other stuff because they've moved.
It could be.
It could be there. It could be there. It's very interesting. What do you want the Cowboys to take? And then we'll do NBA.
They need. To me, they just always still need defense. They lost Hitchens, which I thought was kind of tough. I like their secondary. They got rid of Skandrick, but then Skandrick goes to Washington, which I don't love. I don't care that he went to Washington, but I've always he's going to come back and just try to kick their ass all the time.
For sure.
I thought Taco Charlton did okay for a rookie this year. It depends. If Bryant leaves, maybe they can get a mid-range wideout. I'm not in love with taking a wideout in the first round unless he's a transcendent wideout, and I don't see any in this. Calvin Ridley is the top one, but he's going to be long gone before then. Get me another solid linebacker to play with Sean Lee, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for too. The Giants are going 3-4 for the first time in my life, by the way.
Wow.
I'm not ready for this.
No.
Not ready for this. All right, let's do the NBA because it's quite literally the craziest I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's so I watched the Celtic game last night. Incredible game. Watched the Portland game last night.
That was as good of a TNT doubleheader as they've had in a long time.
Minus the players only setup, which I haven't spent a lot of time with this year, but boy, is that rough, dude.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, they can't get you and me to do the play-by-play. I'll sit right in there and do it for them.
I'm sitting there during the Boston game, and he goes, all right, let's go down to the sidelines with Caron Butler. And I was like, is that what we're going to do? What's going on?
Oh, yeah, Caron Butler.
Man, they had half UConn guys on that broadcast last night with
Richard Hamilton.
him and Rip sitting there.
Those are my guys.
All right, so, I mean, where do you want to start? We could go
really
anywhere.
Good win for the Celtics. They were underhanded. Bad loss for OKC. OKC was rolling before then, though. They're in a real dogfight. Really, I guess if you want to start in the East, Toronto's done really well this year. They have a really good team. They have a really good bench. I think they're a legitimate 1 seed. They're going to get it. The Celtics have so many injuries, they're not going to catch them. And then Cleveland's not going to catch the Celtics.
Anybody.
Cleveland is still that team because they have LeBron. It's just that they have such a worse roster around him. Whether they didn't make that trade or not,
they're better than they were, but they're still not good.
They traded a Ferrari for 5 Mercedes. You don't trade Kyrie Irving. I'm sorry. You just don't do it.
The Kyrie trade. I thought you meant the trade deadline. I
no,
think
the trade deadline.
Oh, no, the Kyrie move. Of course, you don't make that trade.
You don't.
But
hey, you just got to try to work it out for him. Can they still get out of the East? Of course. Can he go in and win a Game 7 in Toronto and Boston in back-to-back series? Of course he can.
He could win all 14 of them
I've
in a row.
seen him do it.
He
had 45 in Game 6 against the Celtics in 2012. I mean, it's one of the greatest games I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
He owns Toronto. I mean, they're scared of him. They don't want to play him. The bottom of the bracket is kind of funny. It could be either Milwaukee and Philly against LeBron. So that's like the young guns. Like, can Giannis go at LeBron?
That'd be fun after the other night, too. Because LeBron he punked him for 48 minutes. Yeah, that was a fun
40-point triple-double in year 15. That's incredible.
It's not fair. We've never seen anything like what he is physically. Just constant.
And he's doing 82 game schedule.
For the first time in so long.
Kevin Love's coming back. Now, Kevin Love is better as a second banana than a third banana, but he's not better than Kyrie Irving. So,
oh, really?
George Hill has been terrible. The guy that I think they would like to step up is either one of these two guys, and it would be, because Nance is just kind of like an energizer bunny. He'll block shots. You know what he's like? He's like the Thunder when they had Ibaka.
Okay.
Before Ibaka became a spot-up shooter, he was like a shot blocker, rim runner, dunker. Whether it's Clarkson or Hood off the bench, I think those are the two guys they want to step up. Hood can really shoot it, and Clarkson's one guy that can go off the bounce and get to the rim, and he'll be able to, get his own shot, really.
Yeah.
But the more LeBron has to do, this is going to be the hardest first-round series for them in a while. And if they used to kind of cakewalk to the first round, okay, maybe they hit the Celtics, the Raptors, somebody, like Chicago back in the day in the second round. Yeah. Then they go through the finals. Then they're kind of fresh. This is going to take a long time to get through.
He's going to have to average a triple-double throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
Their guards stink.
They really do. J.R. Smith should be cut tomorrow. He is terrible. The only shot he made is when he threw the soup at
the assistant coach.
The assistant coach, Damon Jones.
Yeah. All right. So
they don't even have a coach right now.
No, the coach literally, due to sleep deprivation.
We've been seeing this on the pod for 2 years. I mean, LeBron's the coach. So
of course, I saw a picture the other day of Ty Lue yelling at LeBron on the sideline, and the caption said, "Why is Ty Lue yelling at the coach of the Cavs?" You shouldn't yell at the coach on the sideline.
But think about it. I mean, that's the pressure that you're under when you coach a player like LeBron James when you have to win. I mean, it's not like Tyronn Lue is 70. He's like 45. That's scary that he has health issues.
That's
that's
I'm
not trying to make fun of the guy.
But there's a whole thing with LeBron. I heard people talking on the radio the other day, and everybody was just in agreement. Somebody called him a coach killer, LeBron, and everybody was just like, yeah, and they all agreed and moved on. And I was like, when did he kill Eric Spoelstra, who was the only good coach he's ever had?
Yeah, he certainly didn't.
Like, it didn't happen because Eric Spoelstra's a good coach,
right?
And you know what coaches he's killed? Coaches that he's way smarter than.
Yeah, that stink.
Yeah, like he's a better basketball mind than these
Byron
people.
Scott, Paul Silas, Tyronn Lue, David
Mike
Black,
Brown.
Mike Brown. The list goes on and on and on.
Like, these guys are not as smart basketball-wise as this guy. Why would he not get annoyed that they're running what's going on around him?
Totally.
It drives me nuts.
It's the one difference between him and the great players. I think I've said this before. All those great guys had great coaches. And he's really never had one.
No, and he's gone to the finals 7 years in a row.
It's incredible.
It's speaking of the streaks like that, and then we'll go right back to basketball. UConn women 25 straight Sweet 16s. I saw that stat earlier. It's just like that's dude. I'm 27, and we've been rooting for UConn women from our whole lives. The first 2 years I was alive, they didn't make the Sweet 16. They've made it every time since. Like.
There was another one. This is the 9th time they've entered the tournament undefeated. They've accomplished the feat 7 out of the 8 times. There was only one time that they didn't do it.
Oh my!
I mean, that's absurd.
It's silly.
They put 55 on. I know it's St. Francis of PA. God bless them.
God bless them.
94 in the first half. 55 in a 10-minute quarter.
The record was 121 in 4 overtimes. And they beat it by 2 touchdowns in regulation.
They had 140.
Yeah, with the foot off the gas.
It would take the UConn men this year 6 games to get to 140. I mean, they are just what a juggernaut. They really are.
I want to talk about Kevin Ollie, but we'll do it next time.
Sure.
To the West, because the West is so fun.
West has been great.
The West is amazing.
Harden and CP3, they whipped it out last night, and
They did.
Lillard and McCollum were not ready for that. They kind of put them in their place.
They threw the gauntlet down last night.
They did.
13 straight. Down. Sit down.
And they only win by 4 points, but to have Lillard and McCollum have their worst game against those two, that does say a lot. The Blazers have been playing really well. That's no diss to Lillard and McCollum. I think that's just on high of a level, and I have been very critical of both Harden and Paul.
It's hard this year.
They have never played in a conference. Harden did once. Paul has not. They look legit. The Ringers, Kevin O'Connor, he was all over this. He's like, Houston is a guaranteed over. They're going to be so good. They're going to have 48 minutes of Hall of Fame point guard play.
Correct.
D'Antoni's a great coach for them, because he just lets him go, and Harden is just he's making shots that are just absurd.
Yeah, he's gotten so much better.
And he really has. And the thing is, it's not just 40 points. He's got 10 assists. I mean, he's actually D'ing up a little bit.
And it's the efficiency of it all.
Really
it's
is.
It's not 40 points on 24 shots.
No.
It's 40 points on 17 shots and 12 assists and 10 rebounds.
Yeah, and he doesn't miss a free throw.
No.
So whether he might take 30 shots, it obviously won't count as that. Mm-hmm. The guy goes to the line 13 times. He's 13 for 13 every night. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just an automatic. He is just in his zone. He is easily the MVP this year.
That's done.
No question about it. Paul seems to be rejuvenated. When him, Capella, and Paul are on the court, their record is like they've lost like 1 or 2 games.
Okay, all that said, are they going to beat the Warriors?
Well, here's the thing. Are the Warriors healthy?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's assume they are, because they're smart enough to manage what these guys output now.
Okay.
Right? Because KD's out for 2 weeks. They'll ease him way slow.
Steph's coming back tonight.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Draymond just went out. Clay's got the hand.
With the most ironic injury of all time to Draymond Green. The bruised groin. The guy who kicks people in the balls all the time. Yeah.
It was kind of funny that Draymond's the only starter and he got hurt 8 minutes into the game. Now, it sounded like it was a legitimate injury, but one might say, I'll take the night off.
You guys looking to avoid that healthy scratch penalty?
Seriously,
Go in for 8 minutes, and then he's got a bruised groin.
The one chance they have is a Game 7 on their home court, and they're going to get it.
Oh, Houston? Yeah, that's true.
Can Golden State go in there and beat them before the 7th game? Sure. Yeah. Can they beat them in a 7th game? Sure. You got to show it to me. Especially Harden.
4 years in a row, man.
Especially Paul.
This is the 4th year for Golden State.
Like we say, we've seen LeBron go in and do it against Toronto, Boston, you name Eastern Conference contenders since 2008. Yeah. We've seen it.
The AFC
We have
East.
never seen Harden or Paul do it, especially Paul. Paul blew that series to Harden a couple years ago when they let Corey Brewer and Josh Smith go nuts in that game at Clipperland.
The Clipper game, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he really wants it. I mean, he is a competitor. He's always been a tough guy to play with. It looks like they're playing, just unbelievably this year. They shoot threes. They get out. They actually defend a lot this year. Ariz is having a nice year.
Yep.
Capella's really emerged. Gordon off the bench gives them another dynamic. They're the one team that can score with Golden State. I give them a puncher's chance, sure. But you got to show me first. You really do. If those 4 guys are going to be rolling out like they did last year, if we flash forward to luckily the Western Conference Finals aren't tomorrow. True. So there's plenty of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
If Golden State's healthy, you got to show it to me. That's all I'm saying, Houston. You got to show me.
I'm desperate for that Houston Golden State series.
That would be really fun.
And Portland's fun, and Portland could beat those teams. Yeah. They're good.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the one thing. We just saw what Houston did to Portland. Mm-hmm. What if OKC matches up in the second round and Russ is just throwing 7 games worth of haymakers at those guys? He doesn't beat them. Paul George helps him out. Maybe Melo has one good game because Melo stinks right now.
He's so bad.
I know.
I watched the Thunder last night for the first time in a few weeks.
Did you even know he was out there?
I'm so sick of it, dude.
It is.
He's a top 20 scorer at his peak all time. Yeah. And it's such a bummer to watch him right now.
He's a glorified role player right now.
He's, 3 years older than LeBron?
Not even.
Same draft?
Not even.
Same draft. I know he went to Q's. 1 year. Yeah, 1 year.
That's it.
What the fuck? I know. What's going on with him?
And all they're asking him to do is be the third banana, and he can't even do that.
But okay,
just say he goes for 38 one game, right? And all of a sudden it's 3-2 Golden State headed back to OKC.
Yeah.
And whether they win the game in double overtime like they did 2 years ago or not, Russ just throws everything he's got at him. I like and they kind of limp into Houston. That's the one, because Houston just showed me that Portland is no match for Houston. Mm-hmm. Portland is to Houston what Houston used to be to Golden State, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
So Portland may win their first round series, but what if Minnesota? What if Minnesota gets the 7 seed and they play
Golden State
with Jimmy Butler? Mm-hmm. Or what if the Spurs get Leonard back and play him?
You mentioned the Ringer. They love Utah right now with what they're doing defensively.
Absolutely.
That's not an easy first round matchup, and I know Houston will stomp them, but even still, that's going to take its toll.
And then one team is going to run, if they don't completely blow it, Anthony Davis might be in there too. So the bottom part of the West is way better than the bottom part of the East.
The bottom part of the West is almost as good as the top part of the East.
No question. And there's a lot more teams that can just at least bother Golden State more so than Houston. Houston has to beat Golden State. Somebody's got to go and put it this way. If one of those bottom teams upset Houston in the second round, I would be less shocked than if Houston whooped Golden State on their way to the finals.
I agree with you.
Right?
I agree with you. I like this theory, though, that you came up with here, the Russ the Russ wear down theory. Like any team that plays Russ is just not the same if they beat him.
No. And say it's 4-2 Golden State. They're dapping up at the end. Russ is pissed off because he doesn't win, but he just gives him 5 straight triple doubles.
Yeah.
40 points. He gives him a 50-point game.
Yeah.
He's going at Steph. Maybe Steph's ankle.
That happened 2 years ago. They gave him the credit for when the Cavs beat him. They were like, Russ just beat Steph's ass for 7 straight games.
No doubt about it. And now that he's got Paul George as a running mate, he can do it. Maybe, obviously, Paul George isn't as good as Durant, but maybe they can do a similar thing to a not as healthy Warrior team with a Kevin Durant.
It's a lot of fun. Who's your?
It is.
Who do you want to see, and who is your championship matchup?
Okay, very, very biased.
Yes, well, you're
I
Celtics
would
fan.
love to see the Celtics and the Rockets. They had a great game. Give me a full, healthy Celtics. I don't think the Celtics are coming out of the East, and I don't think
he feels wide open still.
It does.
It still feels wide open. Good.
I would not be mad at Cavs Warriors number 4 at all. Give me Cavs Rockets with the narrative, LeBron, you better not lose. And maybe Houston is better than both the Rockets or the Warriors and the Cavs.
Yeah.
Because if LeBron takes the Cavs there and the Warriors aren't there, that might be the most pressure he's ever had to win it all.
Really true. And in that scenario, Houston might would go through Golden State, then Cleveland in a row,
gauntlet.
Coming off of their three-peat.
Yeah. And maybe LeBron, maybe the Celtics don't forget, so he whoops them or he whips somebody else, and then he kind of does what he does at Toronto.
Yeah.
He comes in there. That's like an even series. It's a LeBron do or die. Mm-hmm. Like, you better not lose your 6th, and it's no excuse if you lose. Everybody will give you a pass if it's the Warriors again, but they won't if it's Houston.
That's very true.
It's
that's so
cool.
tough.
There's some good scenarios,
so tough
man.
for LeBron. All right, we have to do this again before the NBA draft, right?
Yeah,
that would be
NBA draft, NBA playoffs. Let's do after the NFL draft, a little recap.
That's right.
We'll the NBA playoffs will be going through. We'll have a national championship in college basketball.
All kinds of fun.
All is good.
All kinds of fun. Brett, always a blast.
Kevin, thanks so much, man.
All right, buddy. We'll see you later.
See ya.
The Calhoun Show.
Ooh, wasn't that fun? Thank you again, as always, to Brett every time he comes in. I love it, and I think you guys enjoy it a lot too. So, big thank you to Brett. If you want to catch me, new podcast, KCDC East versus West, will be up every Tuesday, including this upcoming one. You can check out all the cool videos and funny videos and stupid shit that we do together, DC and I, at kcdcevw.com is where you can find all the stuff that we do and what I'm doing on a daily basis. On Twitter and Instagram at KCDC_East. So that's where you can find all our stuff. We'll be back with another podcast probably next week. And until then, you guys be good. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you for listening to The Calhoun Show. Join the conversation by following the show on Twitter at Calhoun Show and emailing the show at calhounshow@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe and download for free on iTunes. Want to hear yourself on the show? Leave us a voicemail by calling 860-740-2119.